All right, here's a guide for making custom keyboard layouts in the Keyboard Overlay app. What you want to do first is reach out in the Discord with your Twitch username so that you can get whitelisted. So on the inventory page, you will see these workshop tools. These are what you use to build the 3D looking keyboard layouts and the 2D keyboard layouts as well. All right, so the first thing you do to build a 2D layout, first you start by downloading a existing keyboard layout from the workshop page. And then under workshop tools, so the workshop tools dropdown is about exporting your file to share. And then the theme settings dropdown controls the type of keyboard, either 2D or 3D. And then it has all of the geometry for building the shape of the layout. The hotkey labels dropdown controls the white color text that you see here. So you can change all of the colors. You can change the font family and font size, and a couple other things like adding strokes. All right, to add new keys, you can click on one of the existing keys, and then you see this little ghost key, as it's called. So I can click on this, click yes, and then from here you can assign a hotkey. I'll just say J, and then you can change the hotkey size. So there's a couple different sizes. Obviously, that's not very well fitting here. But yeah, you can get creative with it. You can do that, top and bottom. I've never tested like a limit. So if you do something crazy, it'll probably break things. So there is a way to do gaps or empty keys. You select your key, and then under key material, you uncheck visible. And you can leave the hotkey blank here. You delete a key, you click on it, and then click delete key. Remember, you got some invisible ones. Delete, delete, delete. For 2D layouts, what I like to do is click Fit to Keys here, which will give me a top-down view. And then under Lights, clear all of the lights, delete all lights. So there's no lights, so your keys are rendered as black. You can either add a light under Scene Lights, you click Add Light, and then, change the color of the light. Changing the light type controls the fall off of the light. So if it's a spotlight with a low angle, you get the idea. So for example, if I color this blue, so I have a colored light, and what I do to paint textures onto the keyboards is under Spotlight Map. I click Load Map Gallery, so this will let me upload. I mainly use black and white images, and then you can color them with the light color. So for this arrow, for example, now we have a yellow arrow. I can reposition the camera. Maybe it's easier to see if I change the background color. The scene. All right, so that's the only light that exists in this scene. It's a yellow spotlight with a black and white texture. I could add another light under Add Light, change the light color, change the distance. So now it's a yellow light with like a subtle green glow at the bottom. All right, I just updated the look of the hotkeys. And now I want the layout to be mostly orange. I can add another light. Under light properties, I'm going to change this to a spotlight. Under spotlight, I'm going to change this to orange. And I can update the position of the light by clicking set position. So turn up the intensity, and there we go. A light's position is set where the camera is when you first click add light. To update it, you can click set position. If I want to make any modifications to my lights, I can select a light in the dropdown. Under light properties, for example, I want to change the position of this arrow. I change my camera position, and then under light properties, I click spotlight, set position. And I can move the camera around and click set position as many times as I want to change the direction of the texture. If you select a key, you'll see a key material folder. In this folder, you can modify that specific key's material. So I clicked control, and the base color is white. If I change it to black, it no longer accepts the light. If you want this to be a solid flat color, you can change the material type from standard to basic, then click apply material. Here, the base material is selected and only the control key, but if I want to select all of the keys, I can click check all and then apply it to the keys. So now none of them accept light. This is great for if you want a solid flat color. For example, this will change them all to green. Hover color is the color of the key when it gets pressed. I can change hover color to blue and apply it, and I want it to apply to all of the keys, but I only want it to apply to the hover material, not the base color. So now when I press a key, they turn blue. There's a couple other settings like key geometry where I can change how each key looks. Like I can change the corner radius. If this was 3D, I could change the bevel radius. You can change the distance between the keys with key padding. So for example, if I set this to 3D and I change the material away from the basic material type, we can have those lights back. I want to apply this to all of the base material keys. Now with some shading, I can see under key geometry, I can adjust key height, adjust the key padding, and changing the bevel radius, you can see that it now kind of looks like a 3D key. If I change the trapezoid effect to both axes, it adds an inset bevel so it looks a little more realistic. Under the base dropdown, you can click Enable Base to add like a base that the keys can rest on. Then I can change the material. I'll add some nubs on the bottom. Then you can adjust the height of the base and adjust the height of the nubs. There's a couple other settings that you can play around with as well. So say I'm pretty happy with this design and I want to share it to somebody. When you're ready to share, click Save Keyboard, click Create a new keyboard, and give it a name, Arrow Layout. Now, under Workshop Tools, you can click Export Workshop File. This screen was mainly built for exporting files for the public workshop gallery, but if you're just sharing it with a friend, all you need to do is click Export to File, click Save. Then all the other person has to do is go to the inventory page and click Import File. And select the exported JSON file. Because no thumbnail was uploaded, this is what the preview looks like until they click Save Keyboard and then update the existing layout. If you open the JSON file in a text editor, you can see all of the layout specific settings, like all of the lights in your scene, camera position, camera field of view, if it's a 3D keyboard or a 2D keyboard, and other properties like the 3D base and all of its related settings. You can also do this to any existing keyboard layout that's on the workshop page. If you click on it, install it, and then under workshop tools, you can export this as a workshop file, or you can see all of the settings directly in the UI.